U.S. President Donald Trump is reacting on Twitter after reports Chinese and North Korean ships have been meeting at sea to illegally funnel oil to Pyongyang. Caught red-handed, Donald Trump tweeted, very disappointed that China is allowing oil to go into North Korea. There will never be a friendly solution to the North Korea problem if this continues to happen. Satellite images released by the U.S. Treasury Department in November purportedly show a ship-to-ship transfer 2 months ago. It's apparently happened 30 times since October. Last week, the UN Security Council imposed new sanctions on the rogue regime. It aimed to ban most oil exports to North Korea after its latest intercontinental missile test. For more on this, we're joined by the director of the China Institute at the University of Alberta, Gorden, Holden, and he is in Edmonton. And thank you very much for your time to talk about this. Hello.
Thank you, Eva.
So China disputes the finding of these satellite images, but how damaging do you think this is, that this is the report that Trump says caught red-handed and that there are photographs?
I think it is embarrassing at the least for the Chinese. I read very carefully the statements by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Chinese People's Republic regarding this incident. And the spokesperson, she doesn't directly deny. She sort of asked for more proof and in effect says, are any of you 100% compliant? Can we be guaranteed that no other country has a single breach? I suspect that this is verifiable. Photographs are photographs. There's a lot of intelligence assets in the region, not just American ones, but Japanese and Korean as well. So I tend to believe the photos, and yes, it will be embarrassing for the Chinese.
So the new sanctions that we just mentioned that were imposed last week by the UN Security Council sought to really block almost 90% of refined petroleum exports to North Korea. So if there is this exchange happening, how effective can these sanctions even be?
Well, if they were to continue, they'd certainly undermine it. Now, those photographs were from November, as you noted, and not from the most recent round of tightened. If these were to continue, however, then in effect it does blow a hole in the sanctions because it's quite North Korea's got two long coastlines. It'd be relatively simple to transfer oil at sea. Not simple, but very doable, and that would get around the sanctions. The question now will be, assuming that China doesn't maybe directly admit this, but points out it's in the past, if they were then to be fully compliant, the pressure will be right back on North Korea. If there is further gaps in compliance, of course, then it does weaken the whole regime. And also it drives a wedge between Beijing and Washington, which Pyongyang would love to see.
Yeah, and in the meantime, you still have a U.S. Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, still wanting to push diplomacy to that end. But now we're hearing that there are additional signs over the last certainly couple of days that North Korea is about to stage yet another provocation, maybe another missile launch.
That's very much a possibility. It's perhaps almost impossible to know with certainty. If you're reading those satellite images almost in live time, you might have a better idea. I think it's sometimes technical when they make their launches, and sometimes it's purely political. But certainly, they have the capacity. They're churning out missiles at a fairly rapid rate. They could test it almost any time. And that, depending on the type of missile, its target, that would heighten the tensions further, to be sure.
Certainly heighten the tensions further. And also, we are pretty much on the countdown to the Olympics.
The Olympics, I mean, sometimes just bad luck has a play in this. Who would have thought that at this moment, on the cusp of the Olympics starting, that we would be in a major crisis involving North Korea. And those Olympics are not far from the North Korean border either. The most mountainous northern part of South Korea is indeed right near the North Korean border. It does provide a tempting target. I don't mean a target in the sense that the North Koreans are going to attack the Olympics, but a target in the sense of the world's eyes will be on South Korea, and that would be a tempting time for North Korea to spoil our party by doing something that would greatly irritate the United States and the region, including South Korea. And it is a real possibility, and that's coming up very soon.
Certainly a high state of tension there as well. Gorden, Holden, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much, Eva.